Hello student. Today we are going to discuss about a chapter evolution. So first of all we have to know what is evolution. Evolution is the change in the characteristics of species over several generations and relies on the process of natural selection. It is a change. We'll write it. It is a change in the characteristics of a species in the characteristics of a species characteristics of a a species generation generation after generation generation after generation and relies on the process of and relies on the process of natural selection. So what is the basically evolution stands for? It is a change. If you look on the diagram, you will find that there is a change from an ape, this is an ape, to an human being. Generation after generation, that is from generation to another, and this from to another, and this from to another. As the generation moves, there is a slight modification occurs in an organism. This modification, a little modification from one generation to another, this little modification will give rise to an organism which is quite dissimilar, too much dissimilar from the ancestral or the initial one. Look at this. This is a complete human being or a Homo sapien, and this Homo sapien is much different from the ape. So there is a in the vast changement in apes and human being, while the human being comes from ape. So this changement which gives a new organism is called an evolution. That means the evolve of a new organism, and that evolvement comes from the changement in the previous organisms, and this changement comes after generation after generation. So to begin with an evolution, we have to know that how the evolution takes place on Earth. That is, we are on Earth, and Earth have a diversity of life. Earth have a diversity of life, which means there are different type of organisms found on the Earth. So these different organisms are very much dissimilar from each other in morphology and physiology. So if we go on their ancestral, just look at the diagram, just look this one. It's just similar with the monkey. You go on the monkey, you find it is just similar. While if you go on this particular diagram, you found it is similar with the Homo erectus. So all these are a different organism while they originate from a similar ancestor. So we can say that the diversity of life is originated on this earth comes from a single originator. So evolution means a changement in an organism generation after generation which gives rise to a new organism. So to come to know exactly about the evolution, we have to know the origin of earth as well as the origin of life. So the first important is the origin of life. What is exactly origin of life? The most important thing is stellar distance are measured in light years. So let's suppose what is the stellar distance stands for. Stellar distance is if you calculate a distance between a two planet or from one planet to a star. Let's suppose I'm taking a Jupiter and taking an Earth. When we are calculating a distance between a Jupiter and Earth, this distance is called a, it is calculated in a light year. Okay. It means that the total distance traveled by a light in 1 year. So whatever the distance when we are calculating between any star or any two planets or any two different stars, that distance are always calculated in a light year. So when we are considering a stars and other planet, then we are considering a universe, because our universe consider about 8 different planets. A universe have about 8 different planets, and we know that they are the different planets are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. These are the 8 different planets. So the origin of the Earth the Earth is a part of universe. What we can say, the Earth is a part of universe. Earth is a part of universe, and this universe is very old. It is estimated that the age of the universe is about 20 billion years. 1 million is equal to 10 lakh, and 1 billion is equal to 100 lakhs. You may get to know that the universe is about to be 20 billion years. Then how the universe is being originated? This theory is being explained by a Big Bang theory. What the Big Bang theory is saying? A singular huge explosion unimaginable in physical terms. This indicates that he says there is one single entity which is been present, and this entity was get burst. What happened? It get burst, and when it get burst, it is broken down into small pieces. What happened? It is get broken get broken down into pieces. Suppose when it is get burst, this has been divided into several small particles, and these particles give rise together a universe. So what happened exactly when a bigger size of a element is get broken down, then it is been broken down a smaller size of elements, and these smaller size of elements together give rise to a universe. Like if we consider a sun, let's suppose we are considering a sun, then all the planets are around it. It is a sun. Then we have a Mercury, we have Mercury, then we have Venus, then we have Earth, then we have Mars, then we have Jupiter, then we have Uranus, and then we have Mercury, Venus, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Okay. So these are the planets. If you look at these are the like a ball, a small balls, and these all small balls, it comes from a big ball. So this big ball is broken down these small balls, and these small balls are closer to each other, and this together give rise to a universe. Okay. When they are small, they are free to move, and they are start moving apart, and these apart, what happens, they start rotating around them, and finally, like this, the Venus start rotating around sun, and then Earth start rotating around the sun. Similarly, Mars is also start rotating. Similarly, Jupiter is also start rotating. So these all rotation and revolution, these revolution give rise to a formation of universe. So finally, the Big Bang explains that there is an explosion of a large size of a entity which is broken into a smaller size of molecule, and these smaller size molecule give rise to a of planets or stars, and these all together gives a universe. Okay, the universe expand when all these entities like a ball, when all these are formed newly, they are very close, but after that they start moving apart. So later they are some taking us some distance and become apart, and they supposed to in starting phase they only covering at this area, but later they are covering a large area. So as the time period goes up, the size of the universe start expanding, and it did why and how it is possible. It is due to of temperature comes down, because in the beginning when the hot ball is burst, that is a big size of ball which is very hot. It has been get burst. This is very hot. Okay, it when it get burst, it burst into a small balls. That small balls are the part of this hot balls, so they are also very hotter. So later after some times they start cooling down, that is the temperature start downfall. The temperature is downfalling, and when their temperature downfalling, the energy released out from it. That's why this energy makes them to keep apart from them, and finally they are moving apart and keeping a distance, and this give rise to a expansion of universe. After as they are cooling, later this cooling give rise to a two gases. One is hydrogen and other is helium. These two gases formed very later, that is not the in the starting phases. These gases are not formed when the uh, planets are cooling down. They start releasing a gases, because we know that if we uh, heat a iron bar and now keep it for cooling, the heat is only being released out in the form of energy, and that is energy is in the form of gas. When the heat released out, the iron bar automatically get cooled after some time. Similarly, when these planets start cooling, that is the temperature is going to down, they start releasing the gases, and these gases are filled up around them, and this start forming a atmosphere. The gases condensed under gravitational and form the galaxies of the present day universe. These gases start condensing means they are the molecules of the gases start combining and forming a mist like a foggy area, and these foggies together keeping all the planet in a particular circle, and this all together forms a galaxies. So our solar system, that is considering our earth, is supposed to be found in a Milky Way. Remember the term Milky Way. Why it is Milky Way? Because it looks like a milky, that is the gases which has condensed, it is looking like a milk, a whitish color. That is why we call it a Milky Way, and it is supposed to be formed about 4.5 billion year back. That means the formation of earth is 4.5 billion year. This is the age of the earth. And what is the conditions of the early earth? Now we will discuss about the condition of the early earth. So earth was formed about 4.5 billion year back. That is, the age is about 4.5 billion. When the earth was formed, then there was no atmosphere. Now, why when the earth was formed then there was no atmosphere? The reason is that when the earth was formed, it is a hot ball. It is the hot ball. Okay. That time it is very hottest, and that is the reason there is no atmosphere. When it start losing its temperature, that is the temperature is going to be down. When the temperature is getting to be down, then down then it start releasing a gases. Okay, the gases comes out. Finally these gases surrounds around the earth. Okay, these gases surrounds around the earth. So in the initial period the earth is very hot, and that is why there is no atmosphere. But when the temperature of the earth is reducing, then it is releasing the gases, and these gases forms a primitive atmosphere. So what are the gases which are being released in the starting phases of when the temperature is going down? Those gases are the water vapor, methane, carbon dioxide, and ammonia. These three are the gases which are released in the beginning of the formation of Earth. That is, the primitive atmosphere only consider, right? A primitive atmosphere here contains water vapor, methane, carbon dioxide, and ammonia. The UV rays from the sun broke up the water into hydrogen and oxygen, and lighter hydrogen escaped. So, what happened? The water vapor is basically a water molecule. Let's suppose it is a water vapor. Okay. When a UV ray, that is a light sunlight, when falls, that is the sunlight is been falling down, then what happens, these water molecule is being broken down into a molecule, that is 2 plus plus O minus. Okay. The lighter hydrogen molecules are released out. As we know that the lighter means hydrogen and helium, they are two different form. Hydrogen is lighter while helium is heavier. Lighter is escaped out from the our atmosphere, and it reaches to the top level, while the oxygen is the heaviest, it remained there. So the after formation of primitive atmosphere, the water molecule start broken down by a UV light, and this release gives rise to a oxygen molecules around the earth. Okay. Oxygen then combined with ammonia and methane. Oxygen combined with ammonia and methane to form water, carbon dioxide, and other gases. Now these again get combined and form the different type of gases and other gases as well as water molecules, because the earlier in the primitive atmosphere the water which are present is being broken down by sunlight. Later, after some times, these gases combine with oxygen and give rise to a water molecule. That means the primitive atmospheric water was lost, but later the water was again achieved. But this water is achieved by the reaction of oxygen with ammonia, methane. Okay. The ozone layer was also formed. When the oxygen was formed, then these oxygens get combined. What is the formula of ozone? That is O3. That is a combination of three oxygen molecules together. This is a ozone's formula. So these nascent oxygen start combining with each other, like this oxygen plus oxygen give rise to O2. This O2 further combined with oxygen to give rise O3. This O3 is becoming a ozone layer, which is the uppermost layer of the atmosphere, and this helps in absorbing the UV lights, by which the atmosphere which are found in the earth contains a water molecule which is again not been broken down into hydrogen and oxygen. So this is the very important formation of the atmosphere around the earth. As the earth was cooled down, as it cooled, the water vapor fell as a rain. So what happened in the beginning time, these are waters are basically H2O, are basically in the form of gases. That is, they contain a heat, that is it absorbs heat. When they start cooling down, then what happens, the condensation takes place. Takes place, that is these water molecules start combining with each other, and when they combine they become heavier, and when they become heavier they fall down and they fall like a rain. In the starting initial formation, these water molecule cools down and fall like a rain, and these rains helps to fill the depression. That is, suppose there is a dig or a suppose this is earth, there is a dig over here, there is a dig over here. So these are the depressions, that is the underground, and these depressions are get filled by the water, and these water are basically a rainwater, and these rainwater which was filled in this depression brings about an ocean. So there is the formation of ocean. So the question is called how the ocean was formed. The ocean was formed from the condensation of water vapors of the primitive atmosphere of Earth, which was fallen down as the rain and fills the depression on the Earth. These depression, which was filled with the water, gave rise to oceans, rivers, lakes, and ponds. So these are the way by which the formation of oceans takes place on Earth. Life appeared about 500 million years after the formation of Earth. That is, the Earth was formed about 4.5 million years, and the life was formed about 4 million years ago. It is all about to take a zero point 0.5 million for the formation of atmosphere as well as for the formation of Earth with the oceans, rivers, and lakes. So exactly the life was formed about 4 million years ago. The origin of life, how the life was originated on Earth. There are different theories and different philosophers has given a different ideas of the origin, but we have to look over that. Early Greek people think that a unit of life called spores were transferred from different planets, including Earth, and they are called a panspermia. Panspermia. What they say that this is our Earth. There are different other planets also, like Jupiter's, Saturn's, Neptune. Just name them: Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and Mars. These are the different planets. Okay, what the Greeks believe that the life comes from these planets. It comes from here and fallen on the earth. Actually, the life is not come. The life comes in form of spores, and we call these spores as sperms. The life comes from like a spores from the different planet and gets settled over earth. And these spores are basically sperms, and they give rise to a life on the earth. That is, the theory says that the life which was present on this earth are come from other planets, like Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, and so on. And these life comes in the form of spores, just like a sperm. So this is called a panspermia, and still favorite idea for some astronomers. That is the only reason the astronomer is still searching for a life on another planet. Search for life on another. This is the basic thing why the astronomer is still searching this theory, that is the panspermia, explain that life from the other planet. That is why our astronomer that who belongs to NASA or ISRO, they are still searching whether life is possible on the moon or possible on Mars or possible on Mercury or Venus or Jupiter and so on. So for a long time it was also believed that the life came out of decaying and rotting matter like straw, mud, etc. If you heard about the Greeks believe in the river Nile. River Nile, which is in Africa, is also called a gift of Egypt. River Nile is called a gift of Egypt. Gift of Egypt. What a theory says that the life is spontaneously generated from the mud, because as we look present, we found there are several type of microbes are present on muds, and these microbes, what the believers believe that these type of microbes are already present in the mud, and as the mud contain moisture, the content of the microbes is also large. So these moisture helps to form a life, These moisture helps these microbes to recombine, become a unicellular to multicellular, and these multicellular, with the help of moisture and the gases of the atmosphere, they growth and development and give rise to a formation of a life. That is why we call a river as a gift of Nile. The people of Egypt believe that the Nile is a river, or the surrounding soil or the uh, banks is too much moisture and contain a large amount of microbes, and from that microbes the lives were originated. But Louis Pasteur experiment, careful experimentation demonstrate the life comes only from pre-existing life. Louis Pasteur with his experiment completely discarded the above things, and he explained that the life comes from pre-existing life, and the life comes from the life which are already been present. Okay, he showed that in pre-sterilized flask, life did not come from a killed yeast, while another flask open to air, new life organism, new living organism arose from the killed yeast. But it says that life is originated. What he's taking the experiment. In this experiment, what he's do, he take a two flask, and this two flask is basically a swan neck flask. Okay. Like this. Another flask is also like something like this. And what he did is, he told that he first sterilized this flask, that is there is no microbes. Then after he filled with a yeast, he boiled this yeast that it can die, and there is, he enclosed this flask with a swan neck and bound it. That is, no air comes in contact with this. He found there is no life is originated. Matter what he did, he broken down, he broken the flask, the glass of the flask, broken the glass of a flask, and also sterilizes, and also heat this yeast. What he found after some time, the heat, when these are in contact with air, there is an origin of microbes over the yeast. This shows that the life is originated from the pre-existing life. It has not been originated spontaneously, that is randomly, without any support. That is, there is already a life is being present, and these lives has to give rise a new life, and after generation these new lives get modified and are differentiated from each other, which gives rise to a diversity of life. Okay. O'Brien Haldane theory of origin of life. What is O'Brien Haldane theory of origin of life is going to be explained. O'Brien is a Russian and Haldane is an England scientist of England. They proposed the first form of life could have come from pre-existing non-living things, that is organic molecule. What is actually O'Brien and Haldane has said, if you go on the structure of RNA, go on the structure of RNA, we found that RNA is basically made up of carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen. Okay. If you go on the primitive atmosphere, what you get? In primitive atmosphere, primitive atmosphere, there is methane, then there is ammonia, there is water vapor, that is H2O, and there is carbon dioxide. So all these elements are basically present in these compounds. So what happened when the UV light are falling on the earth or passing from the primitive earth, these molecules are getting dissociated. These molecules when get dissociated, they again get recombined, and this recombination give rise to a molecule like RNA and protein. So these molecules, RNA and protein, are basically a non-living organic molecules. Why they are non-living organic molecules? Because they are organic molecules because they help to form, give the build up a living organism. If you consider any living organism, whether it is animal or plant or microbes, there are three different type of organisms. These three different types of organisms are only composed by DNA or RNA. Okay. So the life originates from the non-living organism. So basically what happened is RNA first form DNA. We know that due to central dogma, if we go on the central dogma, let's think a central dogma. What does central dogma say? Central dogma says that DNA produces RNA, and from RNA there is a production of DNA. DNA also has to form DNA. This is called a replication process. We call it a replication. What we call replication. From DNA to RNA, this is called transcription. Transcription from RNA to DNA, that is called reverse transcription. Reverse transcription. Okay, and from RNA to protein, that is called translation. So this protein has in the structure formation. Structure formation. What does basically this indicates? O'Brien and Haldane had explained that the first molecule which was formed is a non-living, that is RNA. From RNA, due to reverse transcription, the DNA is formed. Then again from DNA, the replication takes place, which gives rise to a more DNA, and then these DNA through transcription forms RNA, and from RNA through translation they produces protein. These proteins helps in the formation of structure of an organism and function as a structural protein. So finally what we say is O'Brien Haldane that in the primitive atmosphere the RNA has been formed, and these RNA helps to generate in the formation of life on the earth. Okay. So this is called basically a chemical evolution, that is a formation of this experimental chemical evolution, that is a formation of diverse organic molecules from inorganic constituents. Urey and Miller, these are the scientists who only study over the theory or hypothesis of O'Brien and Haldane and try to develop experimentally. They have chosen something, that is they have developed an artificial condition of a primitive atmosphere to high temperature, volcanic storms, and reducing, because in the starting phases, that is the temperature is very high and there is several gases due to volcanic storms, as well as the temperature is fallen down, which releases methane and ammonia. So they also take some gases. In 1953, Miller, which is an American scientist, worked on the O'Brien-Haldane hypothesis and developed created a condition in the laboratory. For the UV light, he uses electric discharges so that the dissociation is taken, and he raised the temperature up to 8 degrees centigrade for the primitive. He used the gases also, that is methane, hydrogen gas, ammonia, and water vapor. And what he found? He found there is a formation of amino acid. He make this apparatus. He first is make it total vacuum, that is no gases is present in this. There is more gases. Then he take a water and it start boiling. By boiling, the water gas is being released. In this another round chamber, we fill this round chamber with gases, and these gases are methane gas, ammonia gas, water vapor that is always be coming from here, from the hot boiling water, and hydrogen gas. These four gases are being present, and the temperature of this flask is about 800 degrees. We start releasing a put it an electrode will start producing a spark. This spark helps in the dissociation of these molecules. That is, hydrogen is dissociated into H plus ions. CH4 CH4 is dissociated into C minus 4 charge and plus 4 H plus charge. So there is a continuous dissociation of every molecule, and then after that they start reassociating. This reassociation produces a molecule like amino acid. A molecule like amino acid. So what does Steller found? Urey Steller found that the hypothesis of O'Brien and Haldane is true, that in the primitive atmosphere, due to these gases and the high temperature and the presence of a UV light, there is a dissociation, and after dissociation there is a reassociation, and this reassociation produces different type of non-living organic molecules such as amino acid. These amino acid is the building block of protein. We know that the protein is composed of different types of amino acids. This protein functions as a structure and give rise to an organism. So in the primitive atmosphere, due to primitive atmosphere, there is the formation of non-living organic molecules, and these non-living organic molecules are responsible in the formation of life on Earth. Now, acceptance, how this theory is being accepted, that is O'Brien-Haldane hypothesis, which is experimentally performed by Miller, is being accepted. How? Some other scientists also perform this experiment, and they observe the formation of sugar molecule, that is carbohydrate CnH2nOn, a nitrogenous base, that is adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, and uracils. Some pigments like chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, fats, saturated and unsaturated. These different things are also been formed after these experiment is repeated several times. So all these things, whether it is a sugar molecule, it is a nitrogenous base, or the pigments or fats or amino acids, all these are essential for the formation of a living organism, because every living organism contain all these biomolecules, and by their support the growth and development and reproductions are possible. So basically all these experiments with the acceptance of a chemical theories. So the theory of biogenesis, what does the theory of biogenesis says? Theory of biogenesis says that the first non-cellular form of life could be originated around 3 billion years ago. That is, the formation of RNA or other molecules like carbohydrates or protein is being formed about 3 billion years ago. They would have given a giant molecule. These molecules combine to form a large molecule. These large molecules is in the form of capsules, which actually start reproducing, and these capsules perhaps are known as cassavaids. So initially the lives are in the form of cassavaids, that is a capsule form. If you go on some bacteria, what actually the bacteria requires a layer around it. This layer is basically a capsule of that bacteria, which protect this bacteria